Hi guys, Dylan Zells here, and today we'll be doing piano for beginners. Now, down the way, let's get into it. Harmonic minor scale. The harmonic minor scale is a little different. I'll use a pattern, a bit one with a slight twist, and then between a 6 and a 7 notes is 3 semitones, a tone and a half. So the pattern goes tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, and a half tone, semitone. From the happy sound of the major scale. And the kind of spooky sound that distinguishes it from the other minor scales. Melodic minor scale. The melodic minor scale is a strange one. It's like two different scales. It's saying to one, the pattern is tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. The descending is tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone. The ascending pattern is the same as the natural minor scale. It's a little tricky to remember two patterns on the same scale. But once you learn it, you'll soon be able to see its value and its flexibility. The C major scale. The C major scale is a great first step for beginners because it forms the foundations for learning scales. Scales are an important part of learning to play both piano, both in terms of understanding great music and for technical improvement. Studying music notation is often referred to as music theory, which is like learning the language of music. Scales are a vital part of the music theory, because grammar is necessary for speaking. As you learn to play the scales, you'll start to understand many aspects of musical. Practicing scales regularly will improve the fluidity of your playing and help your fingers become more adapt to this new activity. Scales are great for developing coordination between the hands and are also ideal for introducing a variety of what pianists refer to as fingering patterns. Fingerings are also marked as little numbers above the notes in piano music in order to guide you to which finger to use for the given note. The C major scale is the perfect place to start, as it only contains only the white keys of the piano and forms the basis for all other scales. Major scales have a happy or cheerful sound. Unlike minor scales, which sound distinctly sad. The C major scale begins on the note C, then at the keyboard 8 notes to your next C, and then back down to the C you started on. As you discover all scales, essentially a pattern of notes that ascend the keyboard and descend back down again. Practicing scales will improve the fluidity of your playing and help your fingers become more adept. The F major scale. Pull on from the C major scale with this new scale. Pull on from C major with this new scale, which contains a black key. Musical notes are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. On piano, these notes are represented on the white keys when you play your C major scale and start with a C, and then ascend up through the successive letters to G, after which the pattern returns back to A and carries on from there. It is the same for the entire length of the keyboard. The white keys simply repeat A through to G over and over again. Any set of 8 notes together is referred to as an octave. And the scales you learn as a beginner will tend to be of a single octave. In addition to the white keys, in the piano there are black keys. Although there are fewer of them, you'll notice that the black keys are grouped together in alternative sense of 2, then 3. G major scale is a great one to start. It does not contain any black keys. All the other major scales, however, do use one or more of the black keys. In musical terms, these are referred to either as sharps or flats. The musical symbol for sharp is sharp, and the symbol for flat is B. Don't worry if it all seems a little confusing. Things will become much clearer as you progress. The F major scale is a good scale to try. Next, as it only contains one black key, a B sharp, a B flat. The B flat key is located between the A and B white keys. So let's get going and start taming this scale. Any set of 8 notes together is referred to as an octave, and the scales you'll learn as a beginner will tend to be of a single octave. The G major scale. A major scale has a fifth, and a C and it has one sharp, F sharp. As we had observed, there are 7 different white keys, notes. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. For each 7 white keys, now there are only 5 black keys. Each of the black keys can be known by a sharp name or a flat name. Remember, the flat of a white key is always below the note, and the sharp is always above. The black key used in F major scale is a note B flat, which replaces B for that scale. In other scales, the same black note may be referred as an A sharp. In this way, some scales use the flat names for the black notes used, and some use the sharp names, but they'll never use both. Adding together the 7 white keys or notes, the 5 black keys give us a sum total of 12 notes each, with its own unique pitch or sound frequency. There are 12 major scales in all. One beginning on each of the 12 notes. You've already seen how to play C major scale, no sharps or flats, and an F major, and 1 flat. The next scale is to learn G major. This scale also contains a single black key, but this time it is referred to as a sharp. The sharp note in G major is F sharp, located between the F and G keys. Some scales use the flat names for the black notes used, and some use the sharp names, but they'll never use both. The D major scale. Discover the scale of 2 sharps and begin to understand the pattern of major scales. Every one of the 12 major scales has its own unique set of sharps or flats. The collection of sharps or flats found in the scale is known as the key signature, which in music is associated right next to the clef at the beginning of each line of music. So far you have learned to play 3 different major scales: C major, no sharps or flat; F major, 1 flat; and D major, 1 sharp. F major contains 1 flat, is followed by a scale containing 2 flats. Likewise, the scale that follows G major has 2 sharps. This scale is D major. You may begin to notice a pattern emerging here. During the scales that contain sharps, first you learn the C major, the scale without sharps or flats. Then came G major containing 1 sharp, F sharp, Next, you'll learn the scale of two sharps, D major. The pattern of surfacing is that there are exactly 5 notes between each of the scales. Star of C, no sharps or flats. You got 5 notes, C, D, E, F, G, and you arrive at G. 1 sharp, flat, F sharp. Count another 5 notes, G, A, B, C, D, and you arrive at D. 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. This pattern is continuous and is sharp. Each time is known as the circle or the cycle of fifths. See page 60 for more information on it. The F sharp in the D major scale replaces the F with the C sharp played instead of C. Just remember to locate the sharps on the piano just before you begin to play the scale. Remember to locate the sharps on the piano before you begin to play the scale. Oh, 11 minutes. Introducing minor scales. Time to tackle this new type of scale. The most important type of scale to learn next is the minor scale. Unlike the major scale, the minor scale comes in 3 different formats: the natural minor, the harmonic minor, and the melodic minor. This means that for any given minor scale, there's not one pattern to master, but 3. Don't worry if this sounds all daunting, as for all 3 different formats, are all centered on the same series of notes. They just have slight variations which are used to learn and understand. With a little bit of practice, will soon be adept at playing all 3 types of minor scale. The A minor is equivalent to the C minor, C major scale. It has no sharps or flats. In musical terms, this is referred as the relative scale. AKA, A is relative minor to C, or C is a relative major to A. Therefore, a minor is the obvious choice as an introduction. Find a major key's relative minor by counting 3 semitones lower. A is 3 semitones lower than C. As already noted, there are 3 different kinds of minor scale. The natural minor is a foundation scale, sharing the exact same set of notes as its relative major, C. But starting and ending on A, pattern C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, a harmonic minor is only one alteration. The 7th note, in this case a G, is raised a semitone higher and is replaced with a G sharp. In a melodic minor, both the 6th and the 7th note are raised but then lowered again during the descent. Right, 13. D minor scales. A D minor follows from A minor, spicing things up and adding a flat to its key signature. Just like major scales, if minor scales follow a cycle, adding either a sharp or a flat with each new scale. The next minor scale to learn is D minor, which has 1 flat, B flat. The relative scale to D minor is F major. And it also contains the same flat note. As a minor scale, learn these 3 formats: the natural minor, the harmonic minor, and the melodic minor. These contain only a slight change, but each sound very unique. It's also important to understand the 3 types of minor scale, and the sequences will appear in the music that you go on to learn. The natural minor uses the same notes found in the F major scale, beginning and ending on D, D, ending on D. D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. The D harmonic minor The seventh note needs to be raised one semitone. The semitone refers to the smallest possible distance between two notes. Basically, the distance between two notes directly next to each other. In most cases, the note directly next to a white key is on either side. Is a black key. For example, to raise a G one semitone, so we go to the black note above a G sharp, with a B, however. However, the next key is a white one, C. So for B, a semitone above is actually C. It is important to understand the three types of minor scale. As your sequences appear in music, you'll go on to learn. Learn about intervals. Take the next step and play more than one note at the same time at one hand. So far, we only played one note per hand. But the polyphonic nature of piano means that we can play up to 10 notes at the same time. This is very rare. However, most of the time, you'll be playing 2, 3, or sometimes 4 notes with the same hand. You'll be talking about playing 3 or 4 notes at the same time in the chord walkthroughs. But for now, let's take a look at playing 2 notes perfectly and how intervals between them will affect your sound. In music theory terms, an interval is the distance between two notes, not necessarily played at the same time, but it's often measured in semitones. A semitone is the interval between two active keys on the keyboard. And two of these semitones can make up a tone. So there's a semitone between C and C sharp, but a tone between C and D. But rather just naming intervals after the number of semitones between the notes, they're all called different names, which you can see to the table in the table to the right. In this tutorial, we'll take it to a basic melody and slowly adding harmony to it, identifying different intervals in the process. Octaves. Don't forget about this convenient interval. All these minor thirds and perfect fifths, it's easy to forget about the octave. An octave is spread across 12 semitones and 8 notes. Whenever the root note of your two-note chord is octave, its octave will always have the same name. The octave of middle C will be another C note. Octaves have many uses too. For example, in the right hand, you can double a melody and octaves to give another dimension. If you want a delicate melody high up in the keyboard, but you think it sounds too weak, add in the octave below and hear the sound get stronger. It's best to keep this melody simple and to start with, as moving between the octaves is hard work. Octaves can be used with the left hand as a simple accompaniment pattern, but it won't work quite as well as a melody option, but it's a great way to support the tune. Understanding chords. How to construct and play common chords. A chord is a set of 3 or more notes played at the same time, but they are an integral part of music. When they are played in sequence, it is known as a chord progressions. As a well-thought-out progression, can transform into an average song into a great one. Fortunately, we can use our music theory and knowledge of scales we already covered to construct and experiment with different chords. Play a 3-note major chord, also known as a triad. You must play the first, third, and fifth note of its corresponding major scale. For example, if you want to play a C major chord, you'll need to play the first, fifth, third, fifth note of the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C together so that they would have a keg. And that for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys again. very, very soon. Later.